Hey everyone, welcome to the Star Wars Rebels After Show. We are back for Season 3, Episode 1. We'll be breaking down the episode and telling you all of our thoughts and predictions for the future very soon.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
We got the late show early.
I know. I actually just realized that this was the very first show that I had to do that cold open for when we switched over to doing it. Do you guys remember?
I do remember.
I spun around in the chair and did the whole Colbert
And you
thing.
did the whole Colbert
Yes.
thing. And then I laughed in the middle of the voiceover because I forgot that our mics were live.
Yeah, it's all
Good times, everyone.
Yes, listen, we like to have fun here on the Star Wars Rebels After Show. At long last, we are back. It's Season 3. I'm so excited. We've got our full main panel here. I'm joined, as always, by the wonderful Katie Cullen. I almost called you Kia J.
Stealing my thunder.
Sorry.
Hi, all my buddies. You can find me on Twitter at KiaXet. That's KIAXET. You can also got the hashtag ABTV Rebels and the live chat, and we're watching them both.
Yes, and of course, Megan Salinas.
Hey guys, you can tweet at me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin.
Who I also almost called the Menguin. You know what it is? It's because I was doing tweets earlier to be like, watch the show. So I was like, it's Kia J and the Menguin, obviously.
You can call me the Menguin if you want. It was a nickname.
Sitcom.
It was a nickname before it was a Twitter handle.
I know,
so.
yeah, the Kia J and the Menguin. That does sound like a sitcom. And I am Emma Fyffe, to be found always all over the internet at my name, Emma Fyffe. So yes. Season 3, Episode 1, Steps into Shadow. They really hit the ground running here.
Dang, that time skip was not kind to anybody.
No.
Does anybody feel like they took off the kid gloves and then like smacked us in the face with them a little bit?
Yeah, a little
Like
bit.
They took the kid gloves off, filled them with loose change, and then smacked us.
Yeah,
I mean, the classiest little blackjack ever.
Totally. I mean, it's super interesting because for me, like, I was going back and I was watching the series again from the very beginning, from, that first, like, basically movie that was kind of the introduction to the whole series. And that is what really hooked me on Star Wars Rebels in the first place. And I watched it and I was like, oh man, like, this feels fun like the original Star Wars trilogy. And I'm super on board with this. Also, gave me a lot of faith in Disney because it was the first time that the property was completely in their hands. But now looking back at that and these like fun little stories of like the Ghost Crew getting to be pals with each other. And I mean, one of the things that this series has always done extremely well, I think, is portray in a lot of ways much more flawed and complicated characters than we necessarily even see in the Star Wars films.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Because we don't get films are, they are a very specific type of medium with 3-act structures.
Absolutely.
And you can obviously have complex
Sure.
characters, but a lot of times in order to properly develop those fully flawed but still interesting and empathetic characters, like, you need a lot more time that can be given to you in an hour and a half or 2-hour film.
Absolutely.
And
or 3 hours if it's common modern days.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, and that's one of the reasons why the trilogy works so well and why those characters are so memorable, is because they go on a little bit of a longer journey than just an hour and a half adventure.
Sure, absolutely. Which again, and it's not to knock the films at all. I mean,
No,
there's
of
so
course
many
not.
beloved, wonderful characters in the films. It's just that I think that, with Star Wars Rebels, you get a lot more characters who are shades of gray than necessarily like super black and white, all good, all bad.
And you also get the chance, because of the time investment that we have, we get characters who are seemingly in the black or in the white, move along that spectrum, and it's really cool.
We're talking about Callus. We're talking about Callus.
A little bit.
I mean, what a great villain.
Well,
The person who took
Callus
credit
and
for
Ezra, to be fair.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I sort of want to structure this episode specifically around discussing the characters, because I think out of that, even though, yes, there was a great plot in place here, and I love a good, like, rescue and recon mission, and that's what this whole episode was. I mean, basically, at the initial beginning of the episode, Ezra and company went in to rescue Hondo Ohnaka because he supposedly had this great intel, and it turns out he actually did, about Planet Yarma having Requiem Station there where they were gathering all of the Y-Wings, and it's like, great, we're gonna go get these bombers for the Rebel fleet, and it's gonna be awesome.
What could possibly go wrong?
It's just a scouting mission, guys.
Yeah.
Except for the part when
It's
the
not
teenager in charge decides that it's not.
Yeah.
It was a train wreck, and Ezra was the conductor.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
I mean, it's true. So basically, 6 months are supposed to have passed between the end of the last season and the beginning of this one. And
Had a heck of it.
Yeah.
Had a heck of a growth spurt.
Puberty works fast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ezra's supposed to be like 15. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's fairly realistic.
Yeah, no, again, growth spurt. When it happens, they shoot right up.
Yeah. So obviously, we find out that Kanan has sort of distanced himself from the Ghost crew after losing his eyesight, which is admittedly a terribly traumatizing event for anybody to go through.
It's an adjustment, to say the least.
So that kind of leaves Ezra
High and dry.
Yes, to fend for himself. So I want to know from you guys what you think about what's going on with Ezra right now.
I wasn't kidding when I said the time skip wasn't kind to anybody. Good Lord, he's turning to a tiny triangle of evil. He's turning to a little red bill cipher. For advice.
No.
There you go. I knew that was going to get a reaction.
Yeah.
And that's, a bad idea.
Yeah.
But he probably feels like he doesn't really have anyone else to talk to. Dad got horribly traumatized and is kind of wandering off and doing his own thing and not paying attention. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Well, and Ezra probably feels absolutely feels
Sure.
responsible for what happened to Kanan. So
Oh,
not
yeah.
only did his father figure just sort of step aside, a little bit, but also he feels responsible.
Yeah.
And now he has no father figure to sort of guide him.
Right.
And that means his training's been brought to a halt.
Totally.
So anything that he has to learn, he has to find different ways of learning the Force and learning how to hone his skills. Why not use this very powerful tool that is right available to you? Because how else are you going to protect the people around you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Jedi problems.
And I think too with Ezra, what makes him so interesting as a character and what definitely motivates him is very much that idea of like keeping the family unit intact and wanting to find a way, as you say, Megan, to protect all of the people around him. And I think he especially feels that he needs to be that way, even more so now that Kanan's kind of like off in left field or literally sitting out in a field somewhere just meditating on his life.
he's completely lost his family once.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And from where he stands, it looks like it's happening again. And that's the last thing you want. And it looks, I have the power to do it. I have the power to stop this. I can become stronger. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Well, then the way this episode progresses, we also get, there's obviously those very good intentions there.
Sure.
But we also get that very angry, angsty streak of teenage rebellion
Dude.
of, I'm the man of the house now.
Yeah.
I'm in charge. We do what I say.
100%. Yes.
He wears it better than Anakin did.
Yeah.
Better writing.
But yeah, Christensen, he tried. He tried very hard.
Yes.
It's very hard
Like
to be
I
a good
said.
actor when you have a bad director.
Better writing.
And again, and I think that the thing that makes him so interesting is that you understand why he's doing all of the things that he's doing. Like even when he gets really short with Sabine when they're flying the Phantom down to the Reclam station, he just got put in charge by Commander Sato, which is like that's a big deal. And so not only is it like, someone's trusting me to be in charge now and I've totally earned this. There is again that sort of impetus to be like, well, I have to prove that I'm right, and I'm having this instinct that if we don't get down there right now, all of the Y-Wings will be gone and this whole mission will have been for naught. So we're going to do what I say and we're going to do it now.
Exactly. Or even worse, because these people are older and they've been the ones telling him what to do all this time. It's just that, you're undermining my authority now? No, this is how it's going to go down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mom and Dad put me in charge.
Basically.
Yeah.
Did any of you guys, I got sort of vibes of when they first get back from the initial mission where they go to the Imperial prison to rescue Hondo and poor Turba bites the dust.
Yeah, like Dude, there were some kind of messed up on-screen deaths in this episode. Mainly
dark.
with the walk.
Real dark.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, I mean, mind controlling somebody to murder their friends and then jump off a cliff. That's pretty dark.
That is pretty dark. Yeah, and that scene too, when they're on the Narada prison and he's like Jedi mind tricking the ATST pilot into shooting the other Imperial troops.
Yeah. Good lord.
I mean, it was like bold move.
It was smart.
It was
and
very
effective.
smart and effective. But
I get the feeling that that's not the first time he's done that. Because the way they reported it, they were like, yeah, he did the thing. Like,
nobody knew. Nobody knew he was
this.
capable of that, though. If he had done that before, he did it by himself.
yeah.
But you were saying, Emma, about like them coming back from that initial mission.
When he gets back from that initial mission and Hera kind of reprimands him for how things went down because he did exhibit some very kind of reckless behavior and there were casualties on sort of their side, so to speak.
Yeah, and granted, that wasn't necessarily his fault, but when you're the leader, you have to take responsibility for for what happened.
Which is what Hera's point was, both at the end of this mission and subsequently at the end of the mission that was sort of the meat of the episode, if you will. But after that, when he's like all angsty about it and he's talking to the holocron, I was like, I'm like getting weird like Gollum vibes.
She hates us.
Where he's like having a conversation with his evil self. Perhaps.
I'm just going to talk to the evil red triangle. That's not a problem at all.
Nah.
No, actually, I remember talking to our friend Lola about this a while back, way back when we were talking about Sailor Moon Crystal, but it actually felt more like the Care Bears with that evil book.
Yes!
Just like, here's this, evil source of knowledge that talks in a kind of weird sexual tone.
Is Nick the name of the boy in Care Bears?
Yeah, that was it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God, that movie.
But when Star Wars does it, it's
time.
still really good.
It is. It's definitely good.
Doesn't make it any less creepy.
No.
Well, I suppose that's the point.
I think that is absolutely the point. And again, it's like the thing that I love about this series is that, obviously we know that this is all taking place before A New Hope. And so it can't really have like a everybody lives happily ever after, we win ending.
Bittersweet at best, I think, is what we have to look forward to.
I think they can kind of hand wave it as, oh, they were off in the ether, or oh, they were running this other mission while this happened, or just apply liberal amounts of hand wavium, and that is the best that we can hope for.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think they've done a really nice job of kind of crafting this story that might end pretty terribly.
Yeah.
Well, we ended this episode with essentially losing a member of the family. We lost the Phantom.
I know.
And that's like, oh, that's not good.
It hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts. But they lost the Phantom. However, Kanan and Ezra really kind of reconnected at the end of the episode, which I think was a positive thing.
Yeah, if we're talking about losing part of the ship versus,
losing a people.
Yeah. I think it was definitely worth it.
Yeah.
Especially if it's gonna like hammer. What'll be interesting now is moving forward, how that group dynamic, again, Ezra had to step up while Kanan was gone. If he's going to be willing to step aside, now that Dad has come home.
He doesn't get a choice. He's been suspended.
Yeah.
He's been suspended, but that's not going to change his attitude about it.
I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think that right now he is going to be willing to step aside, but I think it's going to be another one of those things where it's like, oh, thank goodness you're back. We're reconnecting. This is awesome. But then the teenage boy thing is going to play back into it.
Once the hurt goes away, once that initial joy has dissipated a little bit, and things kind of return to normal.
Yeah.
Then they're going to start clashing again, and who knows? It might happen sooner than we think.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna get someone yelling, "You abandoned me" at some point.
Yeah.
Let's be
You
real.
abandoned
It's
all of
gonna
us.
happen.
It seems pretty likely.
I mean, he
It's
kind
gonna
of threw it in his face this episode. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I don't need you. He straight up said that at one point.
he did.
I was wrong. I need you. Please get me off the sinky chip.
But yeah, there definitely could be a lot of residual resentment for the
Absolutely.
time they were left hanging.
Yeah. Well, and I think that Kanan rightfully was very distressed over the fact that Ezra was using the Sith holocron to get knowledge, but I think he also realized that some of that was, it's because I kind of left him high and dry.
Yeah,
I've been Sir not appearing in your life.
Yes.
He knows deep down why Ezra's seeking out this sort of knowledge.
Yeah.
He knows deep down that it's because of a lack of guidance.
Yes.
But he can't get past his own self-pity in order to
No.
figure it out.
So let's talk a little more about Kanan and his own quest for self-guidance.
What do we think of that
if you
beard?
will. I like the beard. I feel like he's becoming like old Jedi Master. It's very like
You know, it's
evolution
very-
of Obi-Wan.
Yeah, it's very Obi-Wan Kenobi
Yeah.
later on down the line. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I
I kind of even like the face mask too, with the kind of like chalked on
Yeah.
sort of eyes, kind of a little bit.
I am surprised that A, he lost the face mask, and B, that his eyeballs are as intact as they look. I realize this is a kid's show, but I thought they were going to keep that mask on.
Yeah.
Because he definitely got lasered across
He
the face.
totally did.
So I'm surprised that they're still intact.
I thought that the effect with the eyes was pretty good.
Yeah, I like the
yeah.
I like the grayed out look.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that you see the visual burn
Yeah.
across his face.
Yeah.
Like,
I believe those eyes were slashed with a lightsaber. I'm on board.
No, I thought we were going to just be like, oh, look, there are no more eyes.
Ugh.
Yeah.
You're gone.
Nah,
Which is why I thought they were going to keep the
mask
visor,
on
because
him,
then
yeah.
we get into, for kids territory.
again, I
Sure.
think the way they did it, it's both aesthetically it makes sense
Yeah.
for the type of show that we're in.
Absolutely.
Yes, it
Absolutely.
does.
But yeah, and just the whole change makes him look so much older.
It does.
And again, it's only been 6 months.
Yep. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, Ezra. If we're going
Yeah,
to talk
yeah.
about people looking older and it's only
Yeah.
been 6 months.
Well, I like and I think that's one of the things that's nice about working with a visual medium, particularly animation, is that you are at the liberty to kind of redesign characters however you will. You're not
Yeah, as you go.
You're not limited by what human beings actually look like.
You don't have to age them up because the kids are growing up.
Yeah.
Although they did because
the
this
kids are
kid
growing up.
has
the
grown
kids are
up.
grown. Well, and I like that they made that visual change both with Ezra trying to come into more of a leadership role and with Kanan. I think, especially in his now communication with the Bendu, perhaps growing into more of a like wise master role, or at least aiming for that. Again, I think that this season we're going to see a lot of my intentions were really good.
And here's the road to hell.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting too that he finds this guidance from somebody who basically identifies as middle of the road when it
Yes.
comes to using the Force. He's like, I'm not a good guy, I'm not a bad guy. Like, I am what I am.
I'm just here.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Well, and that was the thing that I really appreciated about the Bendu, who basically, when Kanan encounters him, he's like, you're a Force wielder, but you're not a Jedi. And he's like, I'm not a Sith or a Jedi. The Sith are the bad guys, the Jedi are the good guys. I am somewhere in the middle.
Say hello to me.
Yeah.
But he's basically a lion turtle.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He was my favorite character, and chat has been saying that he's voiced by Tom Baker, which is
Yeah,
like,
he is voiced
I
by
didn't
Tom
think
Baker.
I could like him anymore.
Yeah.
And then you said that, and now I'm like,
That
Yep.
makes a lot of sense.
I know,
Yep.
right?
And again, it would be and they gave a lot of dignity to this character.
They
too.
did. They did.
But also a good sense of humor.
yes.
Yeah, but and especially for kids shows, and not to compare this too much to other shows, but it would have been very easy to make this guy, too cartoony or too jokey.
Yeah.
But no, they gave him a lot of dignity and they gave weight to everything. And he's a big character, and
Yeah.
you feel like there's a lot of weight to everything he's saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, and again, I'm always so delighted by how, especially because this is technically a kid's show, I'm always so happy to see them have characters who just are people. I mean, the Bendu's not exactly a person per se, but who is on who's on his own side. You know, I think that's one of the things that's so fun about bringing Hondo Ohnaka into Rebels from Clone Wars is, again, you have this character who's very much on his own side. He's not bad. He's not good. He's just
kind of a jerk.
Trying to survive.
Yeah, he's trying to survive. He's a pirate. You know, he does what it, and even Ezra, he's like, I knew he was gonna steal that shuttle. I'm not gonna stop him. It's just what Hondo does.
Yeah. No, Ezra completely just like, and you guard the shuttle.
Yeah.
Wink.
He's like, I know what's gonna happen here.
Just like, oh, I thought you were guarding the shuttle, and he looks so surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. It was interesting. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I enjoyed the like conversations between Kanan and the Bendu, because it did feel very much like sort of having this like existential conversation about sort of the balance and the force and the flow of the world. And
sometimes you really need that. You need time to kind of step back and just let something breathe.
Yeah.
And that's what this was. It was a really good interjection is not the word that I'm looking for, but it was a nice break from
everything. Like interlude.
Thank you. It was a very nice break from everything going straight to hell on Ezra's side. Like you have all of this, and then we cut back to Kanan getting his lessons from the Zen master and walking face first into a spider.
Yes.
Which, they're far away. Are you sure? Oh God.
Oh dear. But it's so interesting because he comments on Kanan's sense of conflict, and it's just so interesting to have somebody who is in the middle of the road feel absolutely no conflict at all. They know who he is.
Yes. Nailed it. That's it. I was trying to sort of pinpoint why the Bendu was such a like strong character choice for me, and that's exactly what it is, Megan. It's like it's somebody who is totally committed to being absolutely neutral and just existing. And I think that you need that, and especially Kanan needed that because he is experiencing so much conflict since he went through so much personal trauma, and now he's discovered that Ezra is using the Sith holocron, so he's super concerned about that. And basically, you know, he kind of discovers that what it really boils down to is him being afraid of what's going to become of him and not sort of being able to be as great as he once was because, you know, he lost one of his major senses.
I can no longer do what I used to do.
Yeah.
Now who am I?
Yep. But of course, as we know very well from the Marvel Universe, losing your sight
heightens your other senses.
It heightens your other senses. So actually,
it's actually gonna be really cool. I don't know. I'm not super familiar with the extended universe, which are now as the Star Wars Legends.
Right.
But like the samurai, they're basically Jedi are space samurai.
They're totally space samurai.
Now we have Kanan, who basically gets to be space Zatoichi.
Yeah.
I'm kind of 100% down with that.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's going to take a little while to get there.
It is. But I wouldn't be surprised if that was kind of the direction that I'm actually sort of surprised that Kanan like got back with the group as quickly as he did. Yeah. I sort of saw him going down that Zatoichi like lone blind samurai path a lot.
I'm not really surprised that he fit back in there at all. I think it was his own hesitation that was keeping him away from that. So with that gone, he's like, "Yep, I need to go back to being team dad. My son is in trouble. Let's do this.
I can be a cool
You
space
have to
samurai."
drive.
Oh yeah, no, and to say I was surprised doesn't mean I wasn't happy about it. I was very happy about it, but I could certainly see that lone samurai thing being where Kanan ultimately ends up.
I would have been down for that as a miniseries, but I think I would have been frustrated with that if they'd had it as part of this.
Well, I mean, because they would have had to keep jumping back and forth between like what's going on with the rebels and what's going on with Kanan, unless they just kind of went cut and dry and had the occasional Kanan
or unless they just did like a straight Kanan episode where it's like this is Kanan's like wandering samurai episode, and then he can join the group again.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the back and forth, as you were saying, Katie, of like the very intense battles of Ezra, struggling to find his footing as a leader, and going back and forth with the scenes with Kanan and the Bendu, and just Kanan, being with himself and sort of meditating in the desert. The pacing of this episode was spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah. Like I looked at it and I was like, oh, cool, great. This is like a longer
It's a
season
42-minute episode. This is great.
Yeah. But
Well, I mean, they did that for, season 2.
Yes.
Siege of Lethal.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, with Siege of Lethal.
Brain,
But
I'm good at this.
But I feel like sometimes when there's more time in an episode, not necessarily with this show, but in general, like there is sort of the tendency sometimes to try to get too much information into one episode, and I didn't feel that way about this at all, because again, you had the nice back and forth of here's what's going on with Ezra, here's what's going on with Kanan, and here's what's going on with the Empire. Oh my goodness.
So here
What a
comes
good segue.
here comes the Grand Admiral.
Yes, let's
Here
talk.
comes the Admiral.
Let's talk about these bad guys.
I am canon blind for Thrawn. I haven't read the books.
Yep.
I haven't done any of this.
Yep.
Watching him in action, that voice, just everything being calculating. What I love about this, and I want to say this, it's not that he's able to put 2 and 2 together and get 4.
Right.
It's that he's able to recognize that there is an equation to be put together and to know where to find the right pieces of it to get to the right conclusion. Mm-hmm. And that's just like, those Y-Wings are tracked. They have to be.
Oh, they're totally
There's no way they're
tracked.
not.
I mean, everything basically, not surprisingly, goes down exactly as Thrawn has planned it. Because the thing about Grand Admiral Thrawn is he is a brilliant strategist. So he is starting to implement this plan, which he says as much when you know they've got everybody gathered with Governor Price, and he basically is like, "Yes, I'm going to make them tear themselves apart."
And it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be, Thrawn is going to enjoy it very much.
The fact that he is 8,000% chill about it, like,
Yep.
yeah, no, that voice.
I know.
So chilling.
good. Yeah, Lars Mikkelsen, man.
So
Yes.
good. But yeah, excellent casting. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
so I have to kind of agree with Katie. I know Thrawn is one of those characters I've heard
Sure, of
a lot
course.
about. And so when you hear a lot about a character and then to all of a sudden see them pop up,
Yeah.
if you've been a longtime fan, of course you're excited.
Oh, yeah.
But like it's also exciting as somebody who's only heard rumors about this character.
I totally
secondhand
agree.
enthusiasm.
And I think that, you know, this character obviously this character was so compelling in the novels. So he first appeared in the novel Heir to the Empire, which came out in 1991. It was written by Timothy Zahn. And basically there's sort of a trilogy of novels where Thrawn is sort of the primary antagonist for a while. And he comes back in some later books as well. But Timothy Zahn, who created the character, is now writing a canon Thrawn novel.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool. But what I'm saying is that, you know, you have this character who was obviously so compelling that not only was he, you know, he was created for the novels, he came back in later novels, but then he is now being made into a character who is canon because he's just so interesting.
Yeah, leave it to Star Wars to have a character be, you know, like, especially villains, just like Star Wars villains become so compelling that fans demand that they come back. And he is definitely one where Star Wars fans were waiting. They're like, he can be canon, right? Please say he's canon.
Yeah.
And I love that Disney just went, we're going to keep that one and put him over here.
Yeah.
I think he'll fit really nice in here. It's like transplanting something in your garden.
Yeah.
And so, how great that, you know, they do have the original author coming in to canonically basically like, here,
Yeah.
you created this character, write for him in the official universe.
Yeah, that makes me incredibly happy. But I mean, his entrance, gosh, that voice, man! I knew it was him immediately. I mean, I knew Lars Mikkelsen was playing him, and I'd heard the voice in the previews. But I feel like even if I hadn't seen anything, I just would have known. Oh, it was so good.
I never actually watched the trailer, and I knew.
Man.
But and he's such a, again, just from what I've heard of him, he is the type of villain that really digs into what his enemies stand for, and like he studies the from what I've heard, he studies the culture of his enemies and uses and studies their art to ultimately find out what it is that will destroy them.
He is an art collector because he believes that, you know, understanding the if you like understand the art and culture of a people, then you will understand what drives them, and then you can tear them apart more easily.
Can you just see him studying Sabine's graffiti?
Ugh. I feel like,
interesting.
I mean, we've seen in some of the previews some sort of scenes of him with his art collection, which I cannot wait to see more of that.
I'm sure there are going to be lots of little tidbits as you're going through the art.
Yes.
Well, and he's a different kind of villain than we've had so far, because we've had the Inquisitor, we've had Vaders, we've had the
Tarkin.
Yes.
But they've all been, okay, bring in the big guns. They're big and they're scary and they're very powerful.
Yeah.
Thrawn is very much approaching it from a different direction, and so he is scary in a completely different flavor. Like, Vader shows up in a room, you're like, okay, we're either gonna get lucky or we're gonna die.
Right.
Thrawn doesn't have to be in the room. He doesn't have to be in the same side of the galaxy.
Right. And it's not exactly the same as the Emperor either, who plays on that, like, don't you want to turn to the dark side?
And the Emperor just seems to take such glee in everything he does. And Thrawn, I don't know, like, emotionally what he's feeling when he wins a game of chess.
Right. Well, because he's utterly, like, stoic.
Thrawn's the kind of guy that reads sheet music and enjoys solving a good math problem.
He, to me, I look at him and I'm like, I sort of, again, not knowing much about him, but I look at him and I see Tarkin turned up to 11. But even Tarkin, like, doesn't kind of bring in the same gravitas.
Turned up to 11 and refined.
Right. And I mean, we find out, so basically, Governor Price goes in to Moff Tarkin and is like, hey, Admiral Constantine's fine, but I don't think he, like, gets what I'm about. So I need the 7th Fleet. I need Thrawn. And Thrawn shows up. He's just recently been promoted to Grand Admiral because of his victory, wherein there were, by Callus's admission, he's the one who points out that there were more civilian casualties than there were actual rebel deaths.
The guy who took responsibility for a genocide.
Yep.
Pointed that out.
Yep. And Governor Price.
Megan pointed that out
the other day. Oh, yeah. And Governor Price is like, well, it was an acceptable margin.
It's like,
Now,
Xanatos, if Xanatos were lawful evil instead of true neutral.
Now, it's so interesting looking at Governor Price, and because you look at Thrawn and you just imagine a guy like that just sees himself as this much further above everyone else.
And let's get back to Price in a second, but that music when he entered, because it was very much, you know, that reminiscent, like, John Williams' Imperial March kind of score, but then there was also like an organ underscore that was like it was almost like a classic Universal horror kind of thing. Oh my! I got chills. I got chills.
There is someone like hitting an organ deep underground somewhere to get that chord.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I like that when he gets brought into the room, like, you know, she's very much like saying, this is your plan and this, but like they get each other for some weird reason. And I'm like, I feel like they've known each other for a good long while and they know how the other one works.
Oh, totally.
So I'm like, what is their history right now?
I don't know. Well, because Governor Price she's the governor of Lothal, and they've mentioned her on several occasions, but Minister Tua was kind of like acting in her stead for a while. But
she's gone now.
Yeah, she did.
That poor woman.
Dan Blaster 82 in the chat says Thrawn wins and moves on. He doesn't dwell. He doesn't want fame or notoriety, and he lets his actions and victory speak for him. And that's part of what makes him so scary.
Totally.
He's not in it for the glory.
He's not a glory hound like literally everyone else that we've seen. He's just like, nah, I'm just gonna get my job done.
He just likes winning.
Yeah, because it's like, even with the Inquisitors, you felt like there was a little bit of rivalry between the various ones that we encountered.
Oh yeah,
There
no,
totally
they
was.
loved ribbing each other.
Yeah.
They loved they were very much in it for the glory.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Thrawn just doesn't operate like that. And it's very difficult to take down somebody who essentially, in a weird way, has no pride.
Well, and also probably doesn't really have anything to lose.
Yeah.
Like, if he looks at those civilian casualties as acceptable margins, it's like, well, and looks at the loss of assets as just, part of the equation.
Yeah.
How do you hurt a guy that doesn't necessarily feel lost in the same way that a lot of other people can? You can't hit him. You can't hit his ego,
Right.
And you can't necessarily. He'll find a way to work around whatever other losses you make them suffer.
And
Yeah.
that is why lawful evil is so scary.
It definitely is. So one of the things that's really nice, actually, about this season of Star Wars Rebels is that it is airing on Saturday nights, thus giving us a couple of days to digest the information that we consume and then have our show on Tuesdays, and allowing us to have some time with that hashtag ABTV Rebels for you guys to write in ahead of time and ask us questions or share your thoughts. So
Also,
I wanted, yes.
Thank you for not spoiling us.
Yeah, that was awesome.
You guys are wonderful. Please keep it up. Thank you for not sending us spoilers. I can't say that enough.
Yes.
I get spoiled so often.
Yep. So I wanted to bring up some questions that came in from the hashtag ahead of time, and if you guys want to, monitor the hashtag now and see if we can grab a couple more. Xehanorto asks, since we're on the topic of Thrawn, the mention of Thrawn's recent promotion to Grand Admiral, do you think that the Thrawn book will cover that whole sort of origin story of Thrawn?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I would love it, because that was definitely one of the talking about his victory. I'm like, there's a story there. Can we dig into it a little bit? Because I feel like this is the story of how he got promoted.
It
Yes.
ends with so many dead people.
Yep.
Just the idea of him rising through the ranks. It's very, very intriguing.
Yes. I screen capped it and I opened it from Twitter. So I believe it was Grandpa Karamba who asked, do you think Thrawn will be like Darth Vader in A New Hope? Little screen time, but when he is on his own, it has impact and his presence is felt throughout. Or will he have whole episodes devoted to him like Maul in Clone Wars?
I feel like we're gonna be in between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Like there'll be episodes where they're just kind of doing their thing, but we will also have episodes where it's like, no, Thrawn is definitely moving the chess pieces and we're feeling it.
Yeah, I agree. I think there is a possibility of us getting a whole episode that's really about Thrawn. But yeah, that for the most part, he is going to sort of be that outlier character who is manipulating everything. But I don't know how much like actual face-to-face confrontation we'll actually get between the Rebels and Thrawn this season.
If we get one at all, before the season finale, I will be surprised.
Yeah.
I actually feel like we're gonna get a little bit more of him, because Vader last season was there at the beginning, trickled in a little bit, as the series went on, and then was really there for the end. And so I kind of feel like we're gonna get more of Thrawn than we did Vader last season.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
I was thinking more Inquisitor levels.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
no, that makes more sense.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
because I think that, again, it's like Thrawn is now finally getting his chance to be canon in the Star Wars universe, so we have to establish him a little bit.
It's going to be a little bit of a slow burn.
Yeah.
Because when he goes checkmate,
Sure.
we need a lot of build up and suspense for that.
And because also when you bring in characters, from the film canon, it's kind of distracting because we're so, in a good way, but it's like, oh my gosh, Lando Calrissian, we're so excited to see him.
Oh my gosh, Princess Leia!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, C-3PO!
But that's not the case with Thrawn, because technically Thrawn is an original character.
Original character, do not steal.
Yeah, even though he's been around for many, many years at this point.
For several decades
Yes.
now.
He's not canon, but then he got promoted.
Yes, exactly.
So now he's canon
Exactly. He got promoted from legends to canon. Let's see. Graham Karamba also asks, what factors do you think the Sith holocron will play later on?
I think we're getting the God, I almost called it the land shark.
Yeah.
The lion turtle. That would have been a very different episode. I think we're getting the lion turtle back. We are, and he has Bill Cipher right now. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I can't call anything by its proper name tonight. It's not happening.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's been put in the hands of a morally ambiguous character, and I feel like he's trustworthy.
Sure.
But yeah, that's not to say that I feel like maybe even further down the line he'll bequeath it back to Ezra and be like, hey, you're your own person here. Do with it what you will.
Yeah.
Because that's not a terrible plan.
Yeah, but I think that there is definitely a possibility of Kanan and Ezra like getting to that level of understanding where it's like, no, I trust you to make the right decision. And Ezra's like, cool, I trust I'm making the right decision by listening to this Sith holocron because it's giving me all this great knowledge.
Everybody wins.
Yay! A couple of just comments at Tiger version X. Says Ezra's slow, menacing walk while controlling the ATST was legitimately terrifying with the music to back it up. Agree. Mike's vlog says, great start to a darker season. I completely agree. He also brought up the amazing Star Wars trivia battle between Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sam Witwer, which you should all check out.
Yeah.
They legitimately both know so much about Star Wars. It's a little terrifying and unbelievable at the same time. So it's really cool to get, them playing such major characters in the universe with Kanan, and of course Sam Witwer is Darth Maul, well, just Maul now, who of course we will be seeing again this season, which I'm very much looking forward to. And then one last question, again from at the Xehanorto, says, whose teachings would you rather follow, the Bendu's or the presence from the Sith holocron?
Ooh,
I'm down with Lion Turtle.
Okay.
Yeah. I really like him.
Although he's very much a sink or swim sort
Sure.
of teacher. Swim or get your face eaten by giant spiders.
So the holocron is just sick.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing about the Bendu. The Bendu is definitely you are gonna learn by doing and failing, and if you fail, you're gonna learn something. Whereas the Sith holocron is like, do these things and you will succeed.
Well, and also the holocron very clearly wants you to walk a very specific path. The Bendu is more about like, hey, find your own path.
Yeah.
I'm just going to push you out of the nest now. So,
Yeah.
Find your own path, and chances are it's going to be somewhere in the middle.
I understand the impetus to follow the Sith holocron because it does seem like a quick and easy fix. I mean, Ezra clearly has gained a lot of confidence from it, like especially as you see in the interaction he has with Commander Titus when they're at the Reclam station. And
that was so messed up.
Yeah.
My God.
And he's like
so cavalier.
And he's
going to kill a station full of people. Bye.
Yeah. Well, and because he basically was like, the only way to shut it off is to cut the power completely. And Ezra goes, all right.
Andrew Fedge says he'd follow the Bendu, but he'd ask the voice of the holocron to read him stories.
She did have a good voice.
Yeah.
You know what Ezra doing that was? It was a very twisted version of when the Emperor and Luke were having their conversation at the end of Return of the Jedi. Your overconfidence is your undoing. Your faith in your friends is yours.
Yes.
Ezra is like both of those statements mashed together.
Yep. Definitely. 100%. So thank you, everybody, for using that hashtag. I know we've definitely got more in there as the live show is going on. So if you guys have any thoughts after watching the episode on Saturday without spoiling anything, so wait till like Monday, you can use that hashtag ABTVRebels so we can see your questions, your comments, your theories, and then we can discuss them on the show. It's a lot of fun that way.
If you can just keep spoilers out of the hashtag until the show, because we're not the only people who check it.
Truth.
So yeah, be considerate of your fellow man and don't spoil people on Twitter. Twitter does not have a spoiler cut.
It does
but
not.
Y'all are really good at that, so keep doing what you're doing.
Yes, I did not get anything spoiled for me on Twitter this week. So props to everybody. Keep that up, but do send in your thoughts, because I think a lot of the questions and comments and things that we had this week, if you hadn't seen the episode, it wasn't really a spoiler, but it didn't really make sense unless you had seen the episode. So that is all okay. Great. And so with that being said, let us dive into some predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So, the main question, I think, on everybody's mind is Ezra gonna go to the dark side this season?
Radio silence.
Well,
the one thing you're not supposed to have on a
contemplative-
podcast.
Contemplative thoughts, because we've seen both. We've seen Jedi be tempted by the lure of the dark side, but then ultimately continue the path, in the light. But we've also seen Jedi be seduced by the dark side.
And then take a swan dive off the
And
slippery slope.
we've seen main characters do both. So it's hard to say. I almost feel like it is a coin toss as to which way this character will ultimately end up going. I feel like him going evil is the more compelling
I
side.
agree.
I'm not sure if it'll happen this season for sure yet.
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to have him deep in the dark side, but we're also going to have him pulled out of it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely where I stand as well, where it is that he will get pretty close. We've definitely seen that Maul is coming back, and he is referring to Ezra as his apprentice. Kind of a carryover, I think, from the end of the last season.
Let things go.
Yeah, but I do feel that Ezra is going to continue to kind of flirt with the dark side in a way that, again, I get.
Yeah, and again, it's like, and not to compare it too much to being a child, but
Sure.
he had this thing that that was taken away from him by dad.
Yeah.
And kind of like in a weird, like kind of chastising sort of way. So it's like, hey, that was mine, and again, so we're gonna have that weird father-son sort of clash.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it'll be I'm not sure if he's going to seek out other avenues of being able to obtain the same information.
Yeah. I don't know. Any other sort of like general overarching predictions?
I'm just kind of strapping in and waiting.
Yeah, because it'll be, I can't wait to see, the other chess pieces that Thrawn has, on the playing board. And I'm looking forward to more character arc stuff.
Yeah.
Because we've seen a lot of growth and development from everybody.
Yep.
And I'm looking forward to more.
Yeah. I just want Katsuano to come back.
I think
Everyone needs more Gina Torres in their lives.
Well, and
That
also,
is very true.
and also, I feel like everybody's probably like, hey, Ahsoka's coming back, right? Maybe.
As I sit here and laugh.
fairly certain Dave Filoni went on record as saying, like, her story's kind of done for now, but he's also a tricky genius, that Dave Filoni.
As I sit here and laugh.
So, yeah, we shall see. But
that's a big question mark from the end of last season.
It
Yep.
is.
And I think we're definitely going to see, especially with Thrawn now in the role of primary antagonist, we're going to see a lot of psychological warfare. And I am on board for that.
Yes.
It's going to be so good.
I want it.
Any other final thoughts you guys want to share? Any final predictions, what have yous, before we kind of wrap up this episode?
Go ahead.
Just with people like Thrawn and and Maul running around out there, I feel like Callus will probably maybe become a good guy.
I cannot wait for more Callus story.
I cannot believe he's lived this long.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow.
Yeah.
He probably has the biggest failure record of the continuing Empire characters that we
totally
have.
true.
And he's still alive.
Yep.
There's got to be some room for character development in there, because people who aren't important and fail get beheaded.
Yeah.
Decapitated.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, there was one more thing that I saw in the hashtag about Thrawn's promotion to Grand Admiral. This is from Star Wars Protocol. After a deadly campaign, an illustration of the Empire's eroding moral stance. I actually think that
Moral stance.
I actually think that Callus has a moral stance, and therefore I am also surprised that he is still a member of the Galactic Empire. Again, guys, remember, you are watching us live on YouTube. We always get such a great audience watching us live, but if you can also go listen to us on iTunes, and even if you watch us on YouTube, you can totally leave us reviews in the iTunes store. We don't have too many from this time, or from the break. We will get to them next week on the show, though, because we are out of time. So, Megan, where can people find you on the internet?
You guys can tweet at me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I'm also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz and I write articles for The Movie Chick. That's Chick with 2 Ks. Be sure to check those out.
Katie!
I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and YouTube at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. I'm also on Snapchat at Kia Prime. Blind Spot is back Thursdays at 9 p.m. Z Nation is back Mondays at 7. Then we have this. And Arrow is coming back next week, Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Life is really busy. Thank you to all 65 of you in the live chat. Y'all are amazing.
And I'm Emma Fyffe. I can be found all over the internet wherever Emma Fyffes are sold at my name, Emma Fyffe, EMMAFYFFE. I'm also on a bunch of shows at AfterBuzz TV, but I also tweet a lot, so you should follow me on Twitter because I will tweet about all the things that I am doing. Thank you so much again to everybody who joined us live, to those of you in the hashtag, that ABTV Rebels hashtag. Remember, you continue to use that to talk to us throughout the week, and we'll see you guys all here again, same time, same place next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
May the Force be with you.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.